Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
Move your career further, faster in just 2 days with a Harvard Professional and Executive Development Program. Advance your leadership skills, craft smarter business strategies, build your network, and transform how you work and think to keep your career moving forward. You'll earn a certificate and can add Harvard to your resume with Harvard Professional and Executive Development. Learn more at professional.dce.harvard.edu/Spotify.
Chronic migraine is 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more.
BoTok's onabotulinum toxin A prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for adults with migraine with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It prevents, on average, 8 to 9 headache days a month versus 6 to 7 for placebo.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Ask your doctor and visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
Welcome to Book Talk for BookTok, a literary podcast where we deep dive into the writing of your favorite novels. This summer, we are hosting our Romantasy Edition of a book club while we prepare for a 15-part literary analysis of Sarah J. Maas's A House of Sky and Wrath.
This is Jac.
And I'm Amy.
And each week we'll be discussing one book from our summer book club roster. By using our literary analysis background, we'll provide our first blush analysis of each book, as well as discuss listener thoughts. This week we will be discussing A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. The views expressed by the hosts are entirely their own and in no way represent the thoughts or intentions of the original author.
This podcast is a discussion shared to spark thought and conversation on the characters and themes of this novel.
The interpretations presented in this podcast are just a few of the many possibilities. Listeners are encouraged to read along and share their own analysis of the text. Explicit language, as well as themes of sex, violence, abuse, depression, self-harm, and death will recur throughout this podcast. Listener discretion is advised. So let me go into a little bit of what people like, because they're good things. They're very good things.
There are good things. I haven't talked about all the things that I liked.
Yeah. Is there a thing that you like to talk about that you liked?
I do like how sassy Persephone is.
Yes.
I think it is characteristic for her age. It created great banter throughout the novel. And so I found that very enjoyable. That's what kept me reading.
Yeah. No, I think Persephone was a lot of fun. People are definitely love Persephone, the Persephone story. People really liked the idea of a controlling mom.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was, and I don't even have a controlling mom. I have a very, very chill, understanding, great mom. Even as someone who doesn't have a controlling mom, I love the idea of having a controlling character like that, because at one point or another, we are going to have someone in our life that does try to control aspects of it.
Yep, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be a parent or a family member, but that figure exists in people's lives or in their story at some point.
And I know a lot of people do have a controlling parent, so I'm sure it was extra resonating for them. And I think that's something that I do see in some of the comments from people. One of the top comments people respond with that they like, and I guess we've already kind of touched on it now, and that's the spice. Have I crapped all over, Sexy Virgin? Yes. Now let's get into the things I did like. What are the spicy scenes?
Yeah, I'm conflicted because I feel like it was a lot of oh, we're getting heated, but no, I can't. I'm gonna walk into the other room. And then the sex happens anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a lot of that.
We're not gonna have sex, but in that other room we will.
Yeah, exactly. And it happened multiple times that I was just like, I feel like St. Clair wants a slow burn, but just can't. Doesn't have the
Can't
patience
do it.
for a slow burn.
That is so accurate. Because at first I was like, "No, it was slow," and I'm like, "No, no, it was not. It burned real fast. We got into it."
And maybe that goes back to the fated mates idea, but then again, it brings in my questions of consent. Were the sexy scenes enjoyable? Sure, absolutely.
Bath scene, love it. In the
Love
back of the
it.
car scene, it makes me
Love
think
it.
of "Driver, roll
I
up the partition, please." Beyonce.
Oh,
You
yeah,
don't
yeah.
wanna be seeing Yonsei on her knees.
It made me think of, what is that? Icebreaker by Hannah Grace.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was a good one too.
That was a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like, the spicy scenes were fun, like, it's a good smutty book, like, go into this with some fun smut expectations, you're gonna have a good time.
Yeah, I think just go into the book with no expectations and you'll have a good time. And if you enjoy audiobooks, I highly recommend this one because the narrator's Hades was hot. Like she was hot. She
Yeah.
did a great job.
Yeah, there wasn't a male Hades, it was all, like, it was her doing all the
She
voices.
Yeah, she did all the voices
You know
and
what, respect to her, yeah.
chef's kiss. She made Hades hot.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for Hades, good for us enjoying it. I'm trying to think of other scenes. I mean, I did like the "I'm going to carry you so that everyone sees that I'm taking
Mm,
you to my bed."
mm,
Love a good old
mhm,
claiming. Love a good
mhm,
old-fashioned claim.
mhm,
As
mhm.
problem again, I get to choose what's problematic in my brain. I get to be contrary.
I get to put away my feminism when I want to.
I live in a nice compartmentalized box. I get to be mad about some things and then be like, "Yes, claim her.
Yeah, I understand.
Let everyone know she's yours."
Someone come claim me.
Pomegranate seeds? You know that, Mary Poppins,
Mhm.
the first one, where it's like, "Poppins, Poppins."
Pomegranate seed.
Anyone on the corner, please? Anybody? Wow. Am I that desperate? No. Am I that single? Yes. I wanna talk a little bit about another theme that we see in here, and that's the idea of worship,
Mhm.
and it was the big puzzle piece that Hades was trying to get Persephone to realize is that in order to become a god, you need to be worshipped, and
Mhm.
he worshipped her.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
thought that was a fun little twist to things.
I did too. I felt like it was very satisfying
Yeah.
that that was the solution to her problem in terms of accessing her power. And I can see maybe it could be problematic that like getting some sex is the
Is
solution.
worship. Well, I mean, yes.
But we are reading a romantasy book, so it is very fitting. I thought it was a great twist. I also really, really liked how Persephone's power manifested was a touch of darkness within her
Yeah.
and her accessing that darkness instead of it being all like, well, she's the goddess of spring, so it's all going to be flowers and sunshine and she can only be good. I did
Yeah.
like that contrariness within her.
Yeah. I mean, the way that, like, whenever books say the title, I
Mm-hmm.
I I have mixed feelings about it.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun, like, when I heard the title, I was like, "Hey, hey, hey, see what you did there."
Yeah.
I did like the idea of embracing the touch of darkness within,
Mm-hmm.
and, understanding that you're not going to be this magnificent pure flower that her mother wanted her to be.
Yeah.
When you think about Persephone and the god that she is and, springtime, you're bringing from death to life, and you
Mm.
can't bring to life until you've touched the dead. So, like, even in her own representation of spring, you still have that touch of darkness because you're coming from winter.
Yeah.
I do like the idea that Hades wasn't the only one that had her worshipped. He
Mhm.
did set her up to be the queen of the underworld. He did have the other souls down there really celebrate her. So it
Yeah.
wasn't just his dick, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. You're right, you're right. I did really like the dynamics of Persephone with the people of the underworld.
Yeah, yeah.
I I really did appreciate that she was able to build relationships
Yep.
with individuals in the underworld, and that, yes, to your point, that they essentially began to worship her because they loved her as their queen.
Yep. Yeah, the underworld crew, Hecate, I really loved Hecate.
I really liked Hecate as well.
Yeah, I think she was a fun, wise character to have.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
really, really enjoyed the fact that she didn't meet Hecate and immediately think competition.
Yeah, I agree, I agree. She saw her more as a sage
Yeah.
or almost a positive mother figure
Yes, yeah.
rather than, yeah, competition. I completely agree.
Because Minty already has that title, but
Yeah,
it was justified. So,
yeah,
her being jealous and insecure about Minty made sense. Like,
yeah,
it
yeah,
I didn't look at that and think, "Damn, you're just insecure." It's like, no, like,
yeah,
the first time you see Hades, hands take him away, like, of course, like, this other nymph, she's a nymph? Yeah.
yeah,
Like, of course, she's parading around being like, "I like Hades, he's mine."
yeah,
I do enjoy when books don't have women against women just for the sake of it.
mhm, mhm.
I am all for having, like, a female villain that, like, we can shit on. Like, we're here to support women, but, like, sometimes women suck. Sometimes there are certain women who just suck, and that's okay, and Minty is one of them. So, when
Yeah,
you do have a second female figure, and I'm gonna say second because 'cause I'm comparing it to her best friend. So, you have that
yeah,
best friends, but then if you have a second female character who is associated with the male love interest, and you don't feel threatened by it, huge fan.
yeah.
10 out
I
of
agree,
10. Would
I agree.
recommend. I'm thinking about my own writing, and I'm thinking, "Did I do that?" No.
Something to think about.
Yeah, it is something to think about because I think it is such a easy thing to fall into, and
Yeah.
St. Clair did a great job not falling into it.
Yep, 100% agree. And what I like is that that second female character is not related to Hades. So
Yeah.
if you think of A Court of Thorns and Roses series, more is
Yeah.
related to Reese.
And we're instantly at ease because he would never be with her.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a cop out.
Yeah, it is.
It's a way to make us feel like, "Oh, she's safe. She's not gonna be threatened
Mhm.
by her. I'm not threatened by her anymore." And I'm really happy you brought that up because it
Mhm.
is such a way of being like, "Okay, cool. I'm now allowed to feel safe," which, like, don't get me wrong, that does happen, but I think it's fair for men to have female friends, and
Yeah.
I think it's okay for us to become friends with those women too.
Yep, yep. My girlfriend is allowed to have female friends
Yeah.
that she spends one-on-one time with,
Yep, yep.
and I don't get jealous.
No, no, I mean, my ex, his best friend, who he
Yeah.
said like, he was like, "This is my best friend," was this
Mhm.
incredible woman, and I I understand that initial, like, "Okay, like, so tell me more about them?"
Mhm.
Don't get me wrong, there are, like, the female best friends that can be a little shady.
Mhm.
I do like the representation in books when we don't see the shady female best friend of the male character.
I agree.
It's
I agree.
it's refreshing.
It is refreshing
Yeah,
because those women exist.
exactly. Look at you and Randall.
Look at me and Randall. Not that he has a girlfriend to who has to worry about me.
No, no, but nor will a girl ever have to worry about you.
No, no, never.
It is, will they have to worry about me and Nicole? No, because we'll be on your side. We live with Randall.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
Just one big happy family.
it's like, God, every time I think about, like, why I think women should date our friend Randall, I think about the fact that you will always have tampons here for you.
Honestly, you will be so taken care of by the women in his life.
God. Would you like to date Randall? Please send us an email at he would hate it and I would love that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Fall has officially started here in Los Angeles, and that means we finally get to do fall activities.
I have been counting down the days for when I can go to pumpkin patches, maybe even hit up an apple orchard, and I get to do all of it looking super cute in my Quince boyfriend sweater.
This weather is perfect for my dark academia vibes, and I'm so excited to bust out my washable silk blouse because you know I'm going to be taking pictures.
Quince is known for their Mongolian cashmere sweaters from $50. And that's not all. Quince has so many other amazing things on their website.
All of those items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands.
That includes leather jackets, cotton cardigans, soft denim. Like my entire fall wardrobe is genuinely turning into Quince wardrobe.
By partnering directly with top factories and cutting out the cost of the middleman, we get savings as the customer.
One of my favorite parts about Quince is the fact that they only work with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices. And they still manage to get premium fabrics and finishes for that, luxury feeling for every item that they have.
Get cozy in Quince's high-quality wardrobe essentials. Go to quince.com/booktalk for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, to get free shipping and 365-day returns. That's quince.com/booktalk.
Move your career further, faster in just 2 days with a Harvard Professional and Executive Development Program. Advance your leadership skills, craft smarter business strategies, build your network, and transform how you work and think to keep your career moving forward. You'll earn a certificate and can add Harvard to your resume with Harvard Professional and Executive Development. Learn more at professional.dce.harvard.edu/Spotify.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first, like to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay, things people love.
So I'm going to read another listener thought, and they say, it felt like there wasn't enough description for a lot of the action/scenes.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm trying to think about what stood out to me from the descriptions, and I feel like I got enough description of the underworld to be able to visualize it, I think. But I'm looking back at my notes under world building, and I was more I was apparently more of a downer when I was writing my notes because I was like, does it make sense? Enjoyable, I think. Not sure I need more, even though I'm sure there should be more.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
I think I was in the middle of Bride when I wrote those notes, so I was doing a comparison.
Yeah.
Subconsciously. Now, I agree that I think what stands out in my mind is the dialogue and the banter between characters, Persephone's lack of communication, and her inner turmoil. Nothing visually really stands out to me when I think back on the book.
Yes. There is a scene that when I first read it, I couldn't visualize it. And I have this like weird thought in my head where I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. And then listening to it again, I was still stuck on it. I'm like, my brain isn't forming the picture. And that is when Persephone first goes to the underworld. And she goes through his office, she goes down some steps, and then she's like, she sees some water, and then Hermes comes and helps her. And at one point, she says there was a blast, and I thought she was blasted. And then I realized it was Hermes who was hit, like Hades got rid of Hermes. And I was very much confused on that sequence of who was doing what and what the area looked like. In my brain, I'm just thinking like a black void with like box see-through steps going down, and it just didn't connect with me of what was happening there. And that, I would say, was probably the biggest action scene that there was in the book.
Yeah, there wasn't, I would say, a lot of action. And correct me if I'm wrong, is A Touch of Darkness St. Clair's first book?
Let me check. That's a good question. Touch of Darkness was published in 2019. I'm trying to see if she has any other books. I'm on Goodreads right now, scrolling through. It does look like that was her first book, and that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm gonna give St. Clair some grace on this. If this was her first book, and I think is she self-published?
I think not now.
Not now, but I think that book might have been self-published.
I think it was.
Yes. So it looks like St. Clair joined the publisher Bloom Books in 2021.
Oh, so yeah, she was self-published.
Yeah, she began to self-publish her books in 2019. Yep.
Yeah. And there is nothing wrong with self-publishing. I think
No.
And I don't know what journey she was on. I don't know what editor she brought in, but it was but I do see it.
Yeah, it reads like a first novel.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Now, if I read a novel that she publishes this year and it still had the same flaws in terms of unclear narrative and action, then I would be a little more like, you don't get a free pass anymore.
Yeah, and I want people to know when we say it reads like a first novel, it's not an insult. And
No.
whenever I recommend Throne of Glass to people, I say the same thing when it comes to the first book. I'm like, just so you know, it reads very young. It reads like a first novel because it is. SJM wrote it very young, and she wrote it and it was her first book. Nothing wrong with that. It's okay. But like, to your point, the progression of writing, that's when you go all the way to the end of Throne of Glass. You go all the way to Crescent City. Like, you know, you can see the development, and I love seeing a development of an author. I love seeing them become more confident in the world and their writing, and seeing them bloom with it, really.
I agree. I think that, like any other skill or craft, the craftswoman needs time to develop that skill and hone that skill. And so a first novel is not a bad thing. Everybody has to write a first novel.
Yeah.
Everybody has to write a first novel, and that's what St. Clair did. And I enjoyed this first novel.
Yes. I remember being told in a writing class that, because Amy and I both we did our bachelor's in creative writing. I did my master's in comparative literature. Amy did her master's in higher education. And I remember in one of my creative writing courses, they're like, your first book's going to be shit. Just accept it.
Yeah. Well, and I think it was in our last creative writing class, our instructor said, you never publish your first novel.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and we had years of professors being like, look out for your first novel, just be prepared for it. And that is fair. It is fair. And I do give first time authors with their first novel a lot of grace.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of sympathy. I have a lot of heart. That's why I went and wrote basically a fan fiction novel that I was length novel where I'm like, okay, now you will be my bad one. And then, and now I've written another book and I'm like, okay, but are you my bad one now?
Well, my fantasy novel, I wrote that thing and I have such a hard time editing it that I'm like, you are the first novel that will never see the light of day.
You're it. You're the first one. We're fine. Goodbye. Love you. Off to the river Styx you go.
Yeah.
Here are some coins.
Exactly. Yeah. Karen will take you down the river.
Yeah.
Go with him.
Waving goodbye. Yeah, and for a first novel, I think she did a good job.
I think so too. Now, does that mean that there are areas for improvement? Yes.
Yeah.
Some of the narrative descriptions, action, and not action as in fight sequences, just physical
Yeah.
manifestation of individuals.
Going from one room to another, who's in what location? Because I did catch myself a few times of being like, so who's in the room right now?
Mhm.
Like, where is what? Who's on
Yeah.
first? What's on
Yeah.
second?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, and having not read the rest of the series, I can't tell you whether or not the narrative style improves.
Yeah, I will say some feedback I got from listeners is that they didn't care for other parts of the rest of the series.
Mhm.
We can't speak to it. I don't know, but they did say
Yeah.
that they felt like the characters shifted quite a bit and that things took a left turn. I know that the other books, or at least the next book, I think does dive more into the characters of Persephone and Hades. And I know having follow-ups with the same characters after their happily ever after is hard to read
Mhm.
because this plot is based off of their relationship.
Yeah.
So you can't have another book that goes into it without having conflict.
Right.
It's not like Wings and Ruin and Mist and Fury and Farrah and Reese finally get together. The plot was never there. Like there was more plot going on that
Yeah.
could carry it through. So when they got
Right.
together, you didn't have to necessarily add relationship tension. So there was a certain piece about it of saying, "Oh, these characters that I love so much, they're together, they love each other. I'm happy." If you read this first book and you love these characters and you're happy, and then the next books end up being about conflict, I can see if that is, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can see that being hard because now
Yeah.
you have to create scenarios where they don't get along and maybe there is more miscommunication. Where is that conflict? So
Yeah.
I can see that being hard for a reader of being like, no, you guys are so perfect and we're happy at the end.
Yeah. It's true. I I do feel like I don't need to read anything else. I think some of our readers who have read more of the series said a lot of the same problems keep coming up in terms of like miscommunication,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you can only use the miscommunication trope so much.
Yep.
And yeah, I don't feel the need to find out anything else.
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm happy. If this was a standalone, I think it would have been it's fine as a
Yeah.
standalone.
I think it would have been great.
Yeah. I don't know about I would have loved the second book to be just about from Aphrodite's point of view. Again, I don't know.
Mm,
I haven't read it. But if that was the case, I think that would have been a great one to look into.
yeah, I agree.
You
I
know,
agree.
hop around all the gods.
Yeah, I think St. Clair has come out with a version of this book from Hades' point of view.
I remember when I first listened to and first read A Touch of Darkness years ago, and she did come out with that Hades version. I DNF'd it.
Oh.
And I did love Touch of Darkness so much initially that I was like, "Oh my god, like, I would love to like, I want more." And then it was Hades' perspective, and I think for me personally, it was too much of the same thing. That's on me. Like,
Mm.
that was the fact that I was shocked that I'm like, "This is the same thing," and I knew it was the same thing, but my little reader brain was like, "Does not compute, I don't like this."
Yeah.
And I think because there was so much the plot is the relationship,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
there was just so much of the two of them that it, like, was, like, these same scenes that I'm like, "I'm getting these all over again,"
Mm,
which isn't like, that's on me. I'm the one
right.
who didn't, like, wrap their head around it. Yeah, I can also see why people would like it and why people wouldn't like that.
Yeah, I think if St. Clair rewrote it, A Touch of Darkness, it would be one of those novels that's a dual POV because
Yeah.
that's now more commonplace.
Yes.
I can't speak to 2019. I wasn't reading Romantasy back then, but I could see the change
Yep.
being beneficial rather than having two separate books.
I think that this would have been and there's some books who's the Bone season and the one who did Priority of the Orange Tree, Shauna, do you know who I'm
Is
talking
it? Yeah, yeah. Priory of the Orange Tree. Is it Shannon something? Samantha Shannon.
Samantha Shannon, thank you. So, from what I understand, Samantha Shannon went back to one of her earlier books called The Bone Season. I love The Bone Season. It is a book I read forever ago. It is YA. I don't care. I loved it. And I think she did go back and kind of not rewrite the whole thing, but kind of, refined it from what I understand. I haven't read it. And I think I would love that to be more common for authors to go back and say, okay, here's how I would elevate it. And this would be a great example of how would she elevate it? How would she rewrite some scenes? How would she have the dual point of view for these? How does that work out? And I would love that to be more commonplace with authors.
Yeah, I mean, that's why first, second, third editions exist. It's because they went back and revised it. And right now in our society, that's reserved for textbooks.
Yeah.
But it used to be more common that you would correct errors.
And you can make more money, writers. I'd go buy it.
It's the publishers, I don't know how risky it is to be like, we're going to market this book for a second time and the story doesn't change.
If Taylor can do it and come up with her version, then by golly, I would love it. I mean, if SJM put out ACOTAR again and said, hey guys, I mean, I think that book is like near perfection.
That book is perfect.
Yeah, and if no one understands what we're saying, like go and listen to our ACOTAR season, because the way that she thought it out and the work she did behind it, it is chef's kiss. But
it is chef's kiss.
I'll use Throne of Glass. If she decided to come back to Throne of Glass, a book that she wrote, I think when she was 16, and she said, hey, this is how I, a writer who has been doing this now for half my life, my main career, this is how I would go and bring it back and revise it, not changing the story, but just enhancing it. I think readers would eat it up.
Oh, I would eat that shit up. She could rewrite the first 3.
Yeah.
And I'm all for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's change the publishing industry with this episode.
Sexy Chicken Publishing House.
Sexy Chicken Publishing House. That's our unofficial mascot, is a sexy chicken.
Yeah, it is.
That's official at this point.
Oh, it is official.
Yeah.
Check out our t-shirts for this year's book club.
Yep.
It's on our Etsy shop. We've got some sexy chickens. We've got some books.
If people go and look at it and say, why are there chickens there? Season 2, where we cover Mist and Fury. Go for that. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of BookTok for BookTok. We encourage you to rate and subscribe to our show on your preferred podcast listening platform. Next week, we'll be discussing Bride by Allie Hazelwood.
We encourage you to rate and subscribe to our show on your preferred podcast listening platform. We would love to hear your thoughts based on today's conversation. If you would like to submit your take on any of the books we plan to discuss later this summer, please be sure to follow us on Instagram, where we ask for listener submissions.
If you're enjoying the podcast, please visit our website, booktalkforbooktalk.com, to view our latest merch and learn about supporting the show through Patreon, Ko-Fi, or Venmo. You can also follow us on TikTok or Instagram at the handle BookTalk4BookTalk. Bye.
Okay, I'm ready.
Sorry, I just saw a photo of Taylor and Travis, so I was like, gotta stop to look at that. My cousin submitted her feedback, said, should I read this? So I had to send her a text, be like, you just send me a text. Like, this is for submissions, Evelyn.
Fall has officially started here in Los Angeles, and that means we finally get to do fall activities.
I have been counting down the days for when I can go to pumpkin patches, maybe even hit up an apple orchard, and I get to do all of it looking super cute in my Quince boyfriend sweater.
This weather is perfect for my dark academia vibes, and I'm so excited to bust out my washable silk blouse because I'm going to be taking pictures.
Quince is known for their Mongolian cashmere sweaters from $50. And that's not all. Quince has so many other amazing things on their website.
All of those items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands.
That includes leather jackets, cotton cardigans, soft denim. Like, my entire fall wardrobe is genuinely turning into Quince wardrobe.
By partnering directly with top factories and cutting out the cost of the middleman, we get savings as the customer.
One of my favorite parts about Quince is the fact that they only work with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices. And they still manage to get premium fabrics and finishes for that, luxury feeling for every item that they have.
Get cozy in Quince's high-quality wardrobe essentials. Go to quince.com/booktalk for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, to get free shipping and 365-day returns. That's quince.com/booktalk.